Welcome to a new episode of EU Untangled. We want to try out something new.
We call it the Week Untangled. We look back at the past week to give you a quick and dirty recap of what has happened in the past 7 days in and around the EU.
Short, crisp, and sassy.
So you can recap the week and enter the weekend with a clear conscience, feeling well informed, knowing that you didn't miss a thing.
You can always check out the show notes of the episode for the links and read them in more detail. And another thing, EU Untangled is a private project by Victor Aguilar and Alexander Roth. Any opinions expressed in this podcast are strictly personal and cannot be associated to any third party.
But now, let's get started.
So this is the Week Untangled, February 10th to 14th, 2025.
But actually, we start a day earlier, on Sunday the 9th, with big news in tiny Liechtenstein, where the Fatherland Union, a liberal conservative party, was voted to lead the Liechtensteinian government. Brigitte Haas is set to become the first female prime minister of the country of around 40,000 inhabitants.
On Monday, the three Baltic states, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia, decoupled their electricity system from Russia and joined the European one, a big step that took years to prepare. For some well-meant but slightly awkward attempts to promote the step, have a look at the video of the Commission President and the heads of states at the ceremony.
The Artificial Intelligence Action Summit took place in Paris on Monday and Tuesday, attracting heads of state and government, business leaders, and Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, in his first visit to Europe.
French President Emmanuel Macron announced his intention to attract 109 billion investment into AI in the coming years, quote-unquote. While he didn't specify where the money would come from, the United Arab Emirates would invest between 30 to 50 billion euros to build data center in France.
And the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, launched the Invest AI initiative, which is expected to mobilize about 200 billion euros into AI, of which around 10% will go to AI gigafactories in Europe.
By the end of the summit, 62 countries, including the European Union, signed a statement on inclusive and sustainable artificial intelligence for people and the planet. The US and the UK did not sign.
On Tuesday, Europe woke up to the news that Donald Trump had imposed a 25% tariff on all imported steel and aluminum, effectively bringing to an end the existing deals with the EU, the UK, Japan, and other countries.
On the same day, the Financial Times reported on plans of the European Commission to fundamentally change the EU's budget structure. The idea seems to be lumping together different spending programs of the EU into three big funds. The EU Commission would agree to single plans with reforms and investments for each country, thereby giving the EU member states more flexibility in deciding projects. Let's see what's coming out of that once all the details are on the table.
On Wednesday, the Austrian government negotiation collapsed again. This time, the hard-right FPO and the conservative OVP could not find an agreement to form a new government. Earlier this year, previous coalition talks between the conservative OVP, the Greens, and the liberal Neos had failed as well.
Also on Wednesday, the defense ministers of the NATO, a security alliance, met in the headquarters in Brussels. All eyes were on Pete Hegseth, the new US Defense Secretary, who said that, quote, returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders, so before Russia's invasion of Crimea, is an unrealistic objective, just as Ukraine's NATO membership in the foreseeable future.
And adding salt to the wound, US President Trump announced he had a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin in which they agreed to begin negotiations to end the war in Ukraine.
On Thursday, close to 60,000 demonstrators took the streets to protest the proposed cuts to public services by the new Belgian government, led by Bart de Wever, the leader of the right-wing New Flemish Alliance, NVA. The budget cuts would affect public pensions, unemployment benefits, and hospital funding.
To cap the week, on Friday, Donald Trump struck again with freshly baked tariffs, which he seems to like. He ordered his advisors to calculate new so-called reciprocal tariffs that might impact almost every country in the world, but particularly India, Japan, and the European Union.
The new tariffs, which would go into effect on or after April 2nd, would reflect other countries' tariffs, taxes, subsidies, and other policies that affect their trade with the US.
Trump made it clear that he wanted to bring back manufacturing back to the US to presumably make it even greater.
On the same day, the Munich Security Conference kicked off in, surprise, surprise, Munich, Germany. The MSC is a yearly gathering of politicians and experts to discuss the current hot topics in foreign affairs and security matters.
This includes Russia's war in Ukraine and the future of the EU-US relationship during Donald Trump's second go at the US presidency.
And so, folks were wondering what J.D. Vance, the new US vice president, had to say on these matters during the conference.
To everyone's surprise, J.D. Vance's speech complained more about the state of democracy and the lack of free speech in the EU instead of discussing foreign policy. We were wondering if he mistook the Munich Security Conference for Fox News.
And let's not forget, 14th of February is St. Valentine's.
Untangled love to you all.
Thanks for listening to this first episode of The Week Untangled by EU Untangled.
Tell us what you think. Send us an email to mail@untangled-podcast.eu or reach out on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
See you next week.
Bye.
On Tuesday, the on Monday.
That's right. But then you already said the current hot topic, so I cannot
true.
say again the hot topics.
That's true.
So